In these waters, the journey began 50 years ago. Hōkūleʻa comes home to its home waters, and today a celebration on the windward side of Oahu. Good morning, I'm Billy V.
And I'm Mahealani Richardson. At 8 a.m. this morning, Hōkūleʻa sailed from Mokapu at the Kaneohe Marine Corps Base and arrived here at Hakipu'u, Kualoa. You can hear the pū, the conch, and the clapping of the crowd. Crowds are gathered along the shoreline. Let's take a look from above because it is a magnificent sight. As Hōkūleʻa is just anchored offshore, the current crew members have now arrived and they're being brought to the stage to reunite with the original crew members from 1976.
And as those crew members gather, there is lots of applause and cheering. There are hula dancers, the general public, lots of dignitaries here. Protocols will happen this morning. We are here broadcasting live from the windward side of Oahu, and we will bring that all to you this morning, plus some of the stories along the way.
And this is a very special place. Hakipu'u on March 8, 1975, Billy, was where Hōkūleʻa touched the Pacific Ocean for the very first time. And back then, those early members of the Polynesian Voyaging Society thought that this might have been a one-and-done project, one time, but it ended up being an around-the-world many voyages over 50 years, and it was part of a relaunch of the Hawaiian culture and language.
Because remember, that was back in the 1970s. In the 1970s, a lot of things were happening. Hawaiian language was making a comeback. You had people, groups like the Pahinuis who were making music, the Brothers Casimiro, Palani Vaughn, and much, much more. And so there was a celebration, and Hōkūleʻa was right in the middle of it.
And we've been able to talk to those original 1976 crew members like John Cruz. And Billy, you saw it. He was there on the shore during that first launch in 75. Look at that as she touched the water for the first time. They didn't know if she could stay afloat. People didn't even realize that she could go long distances.
People were going, what? You're going to where? Tahiti? That's so far away. You can't do that. What? Traditional navigation?
It was really unheard of, and Papa Maupiailug is one of the people that they are honoring today. So that is the very first time she touched the water in 1975, and then a year later in 1976, those early voyagers took Hōkūleʻa from Hawaii to Tahiti and back, and it really was a groundbreaking maiden voyage.
And the groundbreaking would continue. It would be the voyage of rediscovery. It would be a voyage for the children. Many voyages, as Mahealani mentioned, even touching the stars and talking to an astronaut who graduated from Punahou School, who was on STS 525. That would be the space shuttle. We're talking about Lacey Beach.
Lacey Beach, and one of those chats that you were talking about, Billy, was in 1992. Yeah. Astronaut from Hawaii, Lacey Beach, was able to talk to members of Hōkūleʻa as they were sailing off Rarotonga, the Cook Islands, and also to Hawaii school children at UH Manoa. And so it was a three-way chat. So over the years, we've seen so many different milestones, and they all credit it to those early navigators from 1975.
And some of them are here today, and so it's a celebration here. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and see what's happening right now. Just know that the crew members have already arrived on the beach. They arrived just a little bit earlier this morning. They were transported from the canoe out in the bay here to the beach at Hakipu'u. They were welcomed with chant and protocol on shore because, of course, the people that were arriving from the canoes had to ask permission.
That's right, and that's something that they do with every port arrival. They ask for permission. And this is where we're seeing those crew members arrive via canoe. They left early this morning at 8 o'clock, and it took about a half hour to arrive from Kaneohe, or the Mokapu, to here at Hakipu'u. And it is always so spiritual and so amazing to just see the embrace and the see reunited people again.
So not only is it important that the crew is here, but it's also important to have people that come from this area. So Hakipu'u Ohana are here to receive them and to give them permission to be here on this land as well. So with that, the celebration right now, of course, there's a lot of protocol before, and that's part of the celebration process as well.
That's right. There's a welcoming, there's a salt ceremony, pikai ceremony, and this is to bless everyone here. We will be seeing Kaleo Trinidad, Kumu Kaleo Trinidad from Kamehameha Schools, and about 75 dancers from Kamehameha Schools will be gathering and performing today. And also there will be Kenneth Makuakane from the Kahu from Kauai Ha'o Church, and he will be giving his blessings as well.
We'll talk more about these stories. Let's go ahead and see if we can take you down to the stage area right now where all the activity and where all the people are gathered together, and it's the blowing of the pū, which is happening right now.
Ai, mahakau no ka pule ho mai kai, hako a oi a pule.
Au ea e ngā makau kalani, e rau mai e leo pule, e leo aha a he leo ho mai kai no hoi. E mālama mai a mākou a palekana, a puka i ke ao mālama lama, a puka.
O paliuli ai nā huna tāne, o ka aina I ka lana, I hau ai, I ka hikipu, I ka whātua tāiane, o ka aina I kumu, I lali, aina ainui a te atu ai, he ole tapu unui, a polo lei te hele atu ana I mu ai. O pali uli aina huna tāiane, o ta aina I talana I hau ai, I tā hikitu, I ka pākpāua tāne, o ka aina I ku, I lali, aina ainui a te atu ai, he ole tapu unui, a polo lei te hele atu ana I mu ai, ai.
O ka mauri ia ne o ka mai ia ka po o ka mai ia ka po e na lu mama ana ka na ka o me he lau ka na he vai o li han na ka mai ni a vai o la han na ka po a ku o ka na kai ku o ka na kai boy lau ka po mama a hina vale ka na hai ka ni ha ula vale ka lai o ke a ku ha ke le ko ke ka na ka ha ke vale ka o mai ho ma ni ka ke o ta po ki po la I me po he na lu ma I ka pa I la ha na I he wa ha na ki he ka ha na ka ne he a ku no, 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 to potu o mo adari ka wa ma au ke le ko la wa hoke mai tu polo li I mo ko no o ke ka na ka o lo la o tu pa ke kan do ha ta wa o la I wa nei ta po o la I wa nei po nei ta lu ma no ho I ka na ko po ha na wo ha po ele he wa ha na wo ha po he wa ha na wo mai la o lo pa ki ka hi do I know, Bahia, po he wa Pānau po ele a po na mai o na la ko ni no me ka ke ma ka ta mui o ke ka na ka ni la ua e kane hoalan e aloha kāku tu ua mai ta pō mai kai a e a kalani e a ta honua e a ia kane ta mai ola e ola e na ki aku e ola mari e ola i te ka o aku pa o aki e ola i te kana tei e ola i na o ka o hana o hotu e ola noa o kaula e ta holo i ta ale moi ta ale haku ale wapoko ale kualo o kanalo a tanalo ai mai ki kai do ai
Hallelujah, kamua san, kona leo, koni i kaika nahe nahe.
Thanks. You were a great cameraman. You're doing great.
That was Kevelina by the students at Kamehameha Schools, 65 of them offered dancing under the direction of
We'll take a break. We'll be right back with more from Hakipu'u on the island of Oahu.
Aloha and welcome back from the shores of Hakipu'u, Kualoa, Hōkūle'a's 50th birthday commemoration. We are here live. I'm Mahealani Richardson with Billy V. It is an honor to be here to bring these festivities to you today.
As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and go back to the stage right now where festivities are still happening right now, protocols, and also on stage, Kahu from Kauai Church, Kenneth Makuakane.
Testimony of the resilience of us, its people, and the celebration of the bond between humanity and its natural world. We pray for the future generations who will inherit this sacred knowledge. May they walk boldly in the footsteps of those who came before. May they protect and cherish the wisdom of the past, and may they continue to sail forward with courage, humility. And so we stand together today, grateful for the past, embracing this present, and looking forward to the future. We lift our voices in thanks, in remembrance of hope. May Hōkūleʻa live on, may her legacy endure, and may her journey never end. Ima waku koloko mai kai o ka haku Yesu Kristo. Ame ke aloha ki a kua me kalona pu ana me kauhane he walele me oko pakahi a pau. Amene, amene, amen.
Mahalo tukahu ken Makuakane. We invite our Hōkūleʻa crew, our Ohana Polynesian Voyaging Society, Humumaya no Malie. Hui kalumi, Humumaya no hoa, olu noi. Aloha pumeha na kākou e ka lehulehui a kua mai ke ia la. Ke a naina hano ma ke ia la hano lohoi o ia hoi ka pila makahiki kana lima o Hōkūleʻa. My name is Ronu Boyd. I'll be serving as your Master of Ceremonies today. What a glorious day this is. Another big hand for all of this coming together. We're looking at I mentioned earlier ocean royalty, but they're also royalty on land as well. And you see the faces of the young navigators, the kupuna navigators, who are all here together, and we do this out of respect. At this place, Kualoa Hakipu'u in particular, when Kamuela Chan was offering his oli earlier, he acknowledges Kane Hoalani. Kane Hoalani, both remembered as a parent of Pele, a father of Pele in some stories, along with Haumea, and also Kane Hoalani, the god of the sun. So the sun is very important here in energizing our spirits, our uhane, as we gather for this auspicious occasion. We have ohana that are gathered here today all the way as far as Aotearoa, down south from Micronesia, from Tahiti, the Cook Islands, Alaska, the U.S. continent, and all of this has been made possible and inspired by Hōkūleʻa. Hōkūleʻa started out in 1975 as a sort of a one-time deal. Make it to Tahiti and make it back and hang up the hoi and put the sails away. Instead, because of the urging of people like Myron Pinky Thompson and the continued kāko'o and expertise of historian and artist Herb Nui Kane, and generations and scores of people, the kupuna, who decided on the name of Hōkūleʻa as the zenith star over Hawaii, loosely translated as star of gladness or star of happiness. And we remember that it's not Hoku, it's Hōkū. Hoku is a full moon right before Mahealani, but Hōkū is the star. So Ohaikai no kokako wa Hōkūleʻa. Hanaho. Hōkūleʻa. Okay, I had to just get that in. I'm so sorry. Always a teaching moment over here. Anyway, we have dignitaries here and the mayor, the big boss of the island, the city and county of Honolulu is here to offer some remarks as well. Please, Paipai Nimakako, no Mayor Rick Blangiardi, to share some mana'o here he comes, he's doing his mulakai right up to the stage. Here we go.
Aloha, my kako. And good morning, everybody. What a great day for Hawaii. What an incredible milestone for Hokule'a. What a very special blessing for all of us to be here at this moment in time. And to that, what a tremendous honor. I'm deeply humbled to stand before you today as we celebrate 50 years of Hokule'a, 50 years of courage, cultural pride, and a deep connection to the ocean that has defined our heritage for generations. The story of Hokule'a is the story of Hawaii. Born from a dream to reconnect with our ancestors, she has become a symbol of resilience, discovery, and the boundless spirit of our people. In 1975, a group of visionaries dared to challenge the notion that our ancestors navigated by accident. They knew in their hearts that we come from a long tradition of masterful voyagers, people who studied the stars, the winds, the swells of the ocean, and the flight of birds to guide them across vast distances with purpose and intention. Hokule'a's maiden voyage to Tahiti in 1966, led by the great master navigator, Papa Maupaiulu, and a courageous crew, proved to the world what we already knew. The Polynesian people were...
That's Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi speaking of Hōkūleʻa and discovery.
We'll have more from the windward side of Oahu. 50 years of Hōkūleʻa here on Hawaii News Now. "50 years of traversing our planet through the oceans." We're talking about the 50th birthday of Hokule'a. Good morning, I'm Billy V.
Aloha, I'm Mahealani Richardson, and the crowds have gathered here along the shores of Hakipu'u Kualoa. Many people, just as they were on March 8th, 1975. Back then, 50 years ago, Hokule'a went into the waters for the very first time. Today, at about 8 o'clock this morning, Hokule'a sailed from Mokapu to here, the shores of Hakipu'u, and there were conches, people blowing the pū, people very excited to see Hōkūleʻa.
And with members of the 76ers here on this beach, as well as other Hokule'a members throughout the years, they are celebrating right now. Dylan and Chetta is among them in the crowd. Dylan.
Mahalo, Mayor Langiardi.
Hey, aloha, folks. Thank you so much. We are actually on the other side of the beach park here. As you can see behind us, this is kind of the overflow crowd. There's a giant screen here because if you look the other way, I'll have my cameraman point towards the stage. There is a big crowd there. That's where all of the ceremony is happening, and everyone is just so happy to be here today. It is such a relaxed atmosphere. People are here commemorating the legacy that is Hōkūleʻa. 50 years, as is the big headline here. We are celebrating the rich legacy of Hōkūleʻa. And a few moments ago, I actually spoke with Auntie Melia Marquez, who came all the way from Hawaii Kai. She was actually at the launch of Hōkūleʻa 50 years ago. So she was here at Hakipu'u, and she talked about how back then it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't super well attended, but she said she remembers her mom making a big deal for her family to be there, and she went on to say that Hōkūleʻa represents the Hawaiian community. It represents the Lahui, and to see how well loved it is today is just so significant. So that's the latest from this side of the park. I'll send things back over to you.
You know what's amazing, Dylan, is today we see the big screen, we see all the vendors, but back then they were selling posters for $1 just to get Hōkūleʻa to go on her very first voyage. So things have come a long way, but now people getting really excited because Kamehameha School's ensemble, the dancers, are performing right now.
Moe taha ua ho'o ke nei nui kilo. Kokina
Again, Kamehameha School's Hawaiian Ensemble under the direction of Kumuhula Kaleo Trinidad. This is a hula and chant they perform with each Hōkūleʻa ceremony.
Still to come, we'll hear from Dr. Kalena Silva, who was here on this beach 50 years ago with his kumu chanting and Hōkūleʻa on this beach today. We'll be back with more live from the windward side of Oahu on Hawaii News Now. Hokule'a remembers the voyage of rediscovery, 1985 through 1987, traveling 12,000 miles, inviting fellow Polynesians to join the crew on the legs of the voyage that extended Hokule'a's success in revitalizing interest in Polynesian culture.
And it's been 50 years since that very first touching of the water, the splashdown on the shores of Hakipu'u. What you just saw was students from Kamehameha schools, the Kane and the Wahine dancing to Hōkūleʻa and dancing and honoring those very early voyagers, even beyond hundreds of years ago, those harsh conditions that they had to endure to sail and traverse from island to island.
We remember lots of the stories here today as we celebrate 50 years, but also we had a chance to talk to someone who comes from the Hawaii Island, Kahakaula o Keli'ilikolani Hawaiian Language School over in Hilo. And so coming up in a couple of moments, he's going to join everybody up on the stage. We'll get to hear from him, but he gets to give us a little bit of his viewpoints and his knowledge of being actually on this beach with his kumu as chanter and taking care of protocol that day. Let's take you back to the stage where it's Manu Boyd right now.
e haki ku'u. E ko kualoa nei o nā pali kulipilipi. E kia ia maila e kāne hoalani. Nā kamaaena me nā malihini. Me oko pakahia pauloa. Ka velino ki aloha. Aloha kākou. Mahalo and congratulations to the Polynesian Voyaging Society and the Kamehameha schools who have collaborated to produce today's celebration, marking the 50th anniversary of Hōkūle'a's launching here at Kualoa. Kamehameha School's Executive Culture Officer, Dr. Randy Fong's invitation to share my recollections calls to mind the intensive preparations that led to the launching ceremony on that day exactly 50 years ago. With the support of other experts knowledgeable in Hawaiian cultural practices, Kumuka'upena led us that day. Keli'i Tau'a and I served as Ka'upena's assistants. In my 70s now, looking back, all of us seemed so very young then. I was 22. Keli'i was about 10 years older, in his early 30s, and Ka'upena was in his mid-40s. None of us had ever participated in a canoe launching ceremony or even had much knowledge of such traditional Hawaiian practices. But the mid-1970s was a time when, because so much traditional knowledge had already been lost, people were increasingly seeking to hold on to and to revitalize Hawaiian cultural knowledge and practices, including the Hawaiian language, music, hula, medicine, farming, aquaculture, tapa making, and of course, celestial navigation. Hōkūleʻa itself was a product of the commitment to a renewal of traditional Hawaiian cultural knowledge and practices. Kualoa was and continues to be a place of legendary importance because of centuries of voyaging ali'i royalty who lived here and who traveled here. So preparations for Hōkūleʻa's ceremonial launching at this singularly revered place provided a catalyst for extensive research in 19th and 20th century Hawaiian sources. Research mainly carried out by the Hawaiian scholar Mary Kapena Ukui and Polynesian anthropologist Kenneth Emery, working with the visionary artist Herb Kane and cultural anthropologist Ben Finney. The four produced the launching ceremony that Ka'upena led here. In the 1950s and early 1960s, Ka'upena had been a chant student of Mrs. Pukui's and was well versed in Hawaiian poetry, its vocal production, and associated cultural practices. Mrs. Pukui and her Bishop Museum colleague, Dr. Emery, provided Ka'upena with the specific knowledge and guidance needed to conduct the launching ceremony, including information from early 20th century Hawaiian language newspaper writers like Kamei Kaumei Kamakoko'opua. 2 years before Hōkūleʻa's launching, in 1973, I was a chant student of Ka'upena's, meeting with him at his home in his living room there on Date Street in Kapahulu. I think that relationship probably led him to select me as an assistant. In 1975, Keli'i Tau'a and I were hula students of Kau'i Zurumeister and her daughter Noinoilani. If Ka'upena didn't already know Keli'i, I believe Auntie Kau'i and Noinoilani may have recommended Keli'i to him, as Ka'upena was very close to the Zurumeisters, often serving as an MC at their ho'ike and uniki programs. As Ka'upena's assistants, Keli'i and I received all instruction, advice, and guidance directly from him. Mrs. Pukui and Dr. Emery, having done the research over several months, put together several detailed drafts of the various parts of the ceremony and gave those to Ka'upena, who shared them with Keli'i and myself. The final revision of the canoe launching was completed on March 4th, just 4 days before the canoe launching, reflecting the great care,
these scholars took to ensure adherence to traditional Hawaiian knowledge and practices. To give you an idea of the extraordinary care taken, in addition to the 27 headlays for ceremony participants, including Captain Hurkade, Kenneth Emery, Ben Finney, and the paddlers, there was a detailed list of the required ceremonial food baked in imu right here at Kualoa, including 1 pua'a, a large pig, 10 kumu, a red fish endemic to Hawaii, 15 maila, for bananas, and the water of 14 niu, or coconuts, for drinking. Instructions included assembling the main ceremonial offering, which consisted of bits of the food placed on a special coconut leaf platter, on which was a banana leaf on top of which were 3 other leaves. I still marvel at the detail and the specificity of the ceremony's planning. Kaupena sent meticulous memos to Kili and myself, memos that always began with, "My dear Kalena and Kili." In one memo, he included the ceremony rehearsal schedule for us chanters and the Kamehameha students who were to serve as paddlers that day. In the same memo, he gave Kili and me specific instructions about attire. He wrote, "Our dress will be white muslin pa'u and kihei with tea leaf headband, wristlets, and anklet."
You're looking at Dr. Kalena Silva speaking about those very early days and the ceremony back in 1975 when Hōkūleʻa launched at Hakipu'u for the first time. He served under the guidance of revered Ka'upena Wong.
We'll be back with more on the windward side of Oahu as we celebrate Hōkūleʻa 50th birthday commemoration on Hawaii News Now. In the 1992 No Na Mamo voyage for the children, historic moments as Hōkūleʻa talks story with Brickwood Galutaria, university students and school students across Hawaii, and also with Lacey Veach, who at that time, in October, was aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia circling the Earth. 2 Hawaiians, 3 Hawaiians, all talking together and sharing it with the keiki.
Billy, that was really a groundbreaking chant. Back in 1992, it was so much fun to watch. But let's go to Dylan Ancheta, who has a live interview by the stage. Dylan?
Hey, aloha, thank you so much. So one of the amazing things about today's event is there's also a number of groups that have popped up tent and made their displays and are showcasing the education, the opportunities that they offer. And I actually want to bring in Kamaile with me here. She is a Hau'ula resident. And if Cheyenne also wants to come in here. So both of you folks, you're from Hau'ula. What brought you out here today?
Just excited to celebrate Polynesian Voyaging Society's 50th anniversary, and then also absorb as much knowledge and really cool booths that are educational and exciting to learn about.
So far, what have you guys learned today?
Well, we've learned about the different types of fish in Hawaii and their history as far as any stories that might be attached to the fish, like the veke pueo, otherwise known as the nightmare veke. So don't eat the head, otherwise you're going to get bad dreams. And then also about some really cool Chamorro sailing vessels, which I love.
Nice. Well, there is a lot to learn here. I want to ask one more question to you both. 50 years of Hōkūleʻa. What does Hōkūleʻa mean to you? What does she represent?
I think she represents, great question, culture and the privilege of being in the Polynesian islands, and also just our history and recognizing our ancestors and really being proud of it.
For me, it represents that we are all actually very connected, and the ocean is a highway and not a barrier. So love to start sailing more.
Absolutely. We are all connected by the ocean. Both of you, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts here today. So that's some of the feeling that is here today at Hakipu'u. There's still time if you are here on Oahu. Hele on down and join the fun here. Guys, we'll send things back over to you.
That's so wonderful, Dylan. And as we heard from President of Polynesian Voyaging Society, Nainoa Thompson, he said back when he was young, he knew nothing about his Hawaiian culture. And Hokule'a has been part of this Hawaiian resurgence of culture, language, and now there are many canoes all over the islands. And it's not just a canoe in the physical sense, it's an idea about perpetuating our land and protecting our aina.
One of those canoes is from the island of Maui, Mo'okiha, right here in Kaneohe Bay today, also part of the celebration. We'll be back with more from the windward side of Oahu on Hawaii News Now.
Aloha mai kako. Hui! Aloha! It is Hōkūleʻa's 50th birthday celebration here on the shores of Hakipu'u Kualoa. We are so honored to bring you the celebration as hundreds of people have gathered, as they did back in the day on March 8th, 1975.
It was on this very beach where that happened, and so there are lots gathered here today. Some of our guests are people that were here specifically for that launch.
And let's go back to Dr. Kalena Silva. He was the apprentice for renowned kahu. Oh, actually, Manu Boyd is now speaking. He is kupuhula and MC for today's festivities. He was talking about how the Voyagers were so renowned, and they're like heroes of today, right, Billy?
They are. As a matter of fact, he described them as
the stallions of the sea.
Talking about the 76ers that are here today. Let's go to the stage.
Group started chanting Ia Va'anui as well, and that's good evidence that something is happening right over here. So give all of yourselves a hand for taking the time to remember, to reflect, and to make ready for the future. Mahalo Anui Loa. Our next tribute will be offered by Dr. Kamuela Kimokeo from the renowned group Hi'ikua, and also an educator here in Ko'olau Poko. His mele and his mo'olelo will be shared at this time. In the meantime, we want to say aloha again to the ohana of Hakipu'u, the Hakipu'u ohana. You know, Hawaiian style. And this is something that we've learned of very strong and wonderful lessons through Hōkūleʻa, and that is the value of hospitality. And when you go someplace, you ask permission to go. And so it is only fitting that the whole family and their ohana, the Hakipu'u family, welcome us and allow us to be here at this beautiful place. Also, placing the stone of Naurukoa o Hōkūleʻa, taken from the foot of Kanehoalani and placed there in honor of today's event, today's Piha Makahiki Kanalima 50th anniversary. Without further ado, let me introduce again.
Keep doing, bro. Keep doing.
This is what they call in Hawaiian entertainment stretch. You know, ho'oloi. But this is Kamuela Kimokea. Let's listen to his beautiful Kiho Alu Kona Leo Nahe Nahe Nohoi, an educator, a cultural practitioner, entertainer, and good friend. Aloha.
Just a mic that'll go on. Aloha. It's an honor to be here and to have this opportunity to play a song for you folks. And initially, I was supposed to be doing just Kiho Alu, and I was recently given the task to choose a song now to sing, which is a lot different because now you got to make sure the words and the meaning is all right there with it all. You know, as I was thinking about what song to sing, this is one that came into my mind. I have the great opportunity to perform with Jerry Santos weekly, and this is one that I hear him often sing, and I thought how appropriate for this one. And the second song that is in this medley that I'm going to do is one that was written by Larry Kimura, Lolena, and Honani Apoliona for Hōkūleʻa. And I believe it's one of the older songs written for Hōkūleʻa, written in the year 1976. And so he did this medley of songs acknowledging those who have come before, those that aren't present physically with us, that their spirit is still with us, that we still look to them for answers, that we still call out to them to continue to guide us, and they are our guiding star now. So in memory of, you know, those people who have come before, those who have done so much for us, and those who continue to do so much for us, I offer this mele. I hear your voice in the wind and the rain. Guide me to the love I care for. Ku'ukupuna. I feel you timeless sea, chanting never, sacred to our native land, and the pride our nation once did see. May the rising winds touch you in Akupa and be one with them.
The inaugural voyage, pigs and Polynesian chickens were bred at the Honolulu Zoo for the voyage, but the director didn't want to part with them. Instead, they got a domesticated pig from the island of Kauai named Maxwell. Later on, there would be Keli'itaoa writing a song. Roland Casimiro would do the music called Maxwell Namu Namu. Means complaining pig.
Billy, can you imagine back in 1976, those very first Voyagers? It took about 31 days from Hawaii to Tahiti. What did they eat? They ate kalo. They ate some fish that they caught, but it was very different from today, where on today, Hōkūleʻa has solar panels, they have cooking, they have storage, they have mats for sleeping. Hōkūleʻa very different, but they can still do long distance voyages and of course are perpetuating the Hawaiian culture.
Let's go ahead and take you to the stage where lots are happening. It's on the stage right now. We have for you Dr. Kamuela Kimokeo, Hawaii recording artist who's just ending off the song right now. Manu Boyd takes...
Another nice hand for Kamuela Kimokeo. You know, that song and the haunting melody, it reminds us of a large body of mele that were composed in honor of Hōkūleʻa. And Dr. Kalena Silva had mentioned the name of a kumu educator from Maui, Kumuhula also, but Kili Tau'a was responsible for composing many of the lyrics, and then we also remember Roland Casimiro wrote much of the music at that time for songs that we'll be singing for the rest of our lives and for the next 50 years of Hōkūleʻa. Songs like Na Pe'a o Hōkūleʻa and Iasu and Maxwell Namu Namu and all of those songs that we might remember those times. You know, one of the revered leaders of the Polynesian Voyaging Society is Bruce Blankenfeld, and he's going to come up and share some memories with you as well. And you know, this is again the value of value of storytelling, because you tell the story and the story lives. The heroes of the past inspire our young ones for today. So without further ado, Eomai or Bruce Blankenfeld, leader of Polynesian Voyaging Society.
Aloha mai kako. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. You know, oh gosh, Helena, thank you for sharing all that. I was sitting next to John Morgan over there, and John said, gosh, it's like we're here in the moment, 50 years ago. And you put us there, Helena. That was a beautiful thing. That's what we're celebrating. We're celebrating a vision. We're celebrating looking back, moving forward. I don't know, we're celebrating so much, but I got to tell you, when I watched, I cannot I don't get tired watching the video of Hokule'a sliding down this beach into the water, and the joys that it created amongst multitudes, people that weren't even here. And when we think about that, I remember being in South Africa in 2015. And we're loading the canoe, getting ready to leave. And I'm standing on the pier, and I'm looking at the canoe, see how she's balanced. And this gal walks up, she goes, is that Hokule'a? I go, yeah, it is. She goes, I was at the launching. And I still remember it today. We were talking, it's like all those little stories, it's amazing. She was just so proud of that moment 50 years ago, and the moment at that time, standing on that pier, knowing that this little canoe is still out there, sailing around and just doing tremendous things. But I really came up here to pay tribute to some of our leaders from the past that have moved on, they've transitioned, they've hala, but they're always with us in the spirit. We always talk about them. We always look to them, like Mother said, for guidance, strength, vision. So I wanted to bring into the stage her Kawainui Kane, artist, historian, captain, alatai, so much more. Also Tommy Holmes, this is Tommy, local waterman, boundless energy, enthusiastic canoe paddler, canoe man, and everything about canoeing, who lent his hand to make everything work. Tupo Anatani, Ben Finney. Ben Finney got a call in the mid-50s to set things right about where Pacific Islanders and Polynesians came from. There was a book that was written that said we came from South America. Pacific scholar, Katuru Omala, and even Kennedy. They made the difference. They said, I don't think so. We came from the West. And so, to Moanatani got a call to start the wheels turning. As time went on, we paid tribute to Uncle Pinky, Myron Pinky Thompson, his Kekeoka visionary. Just some things about Uncle Pinky, you know, right after high school, 18 years old, signed up for the draft. Off he went to fight in World War II in Europe. That, you know, started at the beach of Normandy, combat wounded, came home after recovering, and set a new path for recovery for the Hawaiian people. You know, he led the way so much for us. After the pivotal moment, I remember, after the swampy in 1978, he got us together and he just said, hey, we're going to get back to sea. We're going to get back, you know, and there was a lot of parameters. But what he really talked about was like, this cannot be Hokule'a's legacy. What the people
Yeah, I made all.
This, 50 years later, this is what we're going to remember. And he set us on this path. Piailu. Papa Mao. You know, I've met over the years many Micronesians from other islands. And when we know that we sail in Hokule'a, the first question is, you know Piailu? Yes. Piailu was our friend, he was our teacher, he was our mentor, our guide in so many ways. And Piailu has so many names. Mao is his nickname. Mao is his given name. It means strength. It means courage. It means so much more. Other mentors of us, right? Elimakule, Bowman Sr. For those of you who knew Elimakule, he was a Kalaimaha. He was a teacher. He taught woodshop up in Kamehameha for decades. For decades. He was an incredible craftsman, but he was a Kalaimaha canoe builder. When Hokule'a was first launched and put together, he built the paddles, the steer paddles. He built so much more that went on to the canoe. And he continued to be a presence in the voyaging and the paddling community to help guide and push forward. And ultimately, his son, Raito, Jr., built Hōkūle'a. And you see Uncle Wright and all of that. Uncle Abraham P. Nainoa. Uncle Abraham P. Nainoa was an incredible individual that had a license as a master mariner in all oceans, unlimited tonnage in the midst of us. And when we first started, and we knew very little, if anything, about who we were and where we were going. And we had the privilege of hooing and getting together and just listening to him talk and share knowledge. And it gave us a little bit more insight into what this is all about. Kennedy Emery, you heard his name mentioned earlier. He spent a lifetime. This gentleman from Massachusetts. He looked into the Pacific with curiosity. Looked above, around him, looked below. Befriended so many people across the Pacific to just learn about cultures and to share and be shared. He was a beautiful individual. is married to a beautiful Tahitian woman, and he was all about sharing all that knowledge. Te Navigational Sir Peter Buck, a scholar from Aotearoa. He was the president of the museum for many years. Sir Peter Buck, Te Navigational, wrote the book Vikings of the Sunrise. It was another source of stories and information to look towards for voyaging and to understand that. He wrote so many books about Hawaiian crafts and arts and all that things that was shared with children. I remember reading those things when I was little, and you learned a lot. And that's what these guys were. They were teachers, they were mentors. They wanted to help make everything viable and upfront and present for all of us. Wallace Forsyth, Uncle Wally. Uncle Wally was like at the vanguard of surfing. Little Holly boy came here when he was 5 with his mother, him and his brother. Grew up surfing on Waikiki Beach. Loved surfing, loved the Hawaiian people, loved everything about the islands. He would surf every day. He and many of his friends, like Uncle George Downing and others, revolutionized surfboard design, canoe paddling. The revered canoe, Malia, from Waikiki Surf Club, was the iconic state-of-the-art canoe through the 50s and the 60s. And Uncle Wally was at the forefront of that. Uncle Wally told me stories about going to California where people were surfing and still going straight. And he had redesigned surfboards, and him and George Downing are cutting left, cutting right, and they're all looking at him going, what are these guys doing? Big wave surfing at Makaha with Uncle Buff and others, and so much more. When Hokule'a was envisioned, Uncle Wally got the call, just like Eli Makule, Uncle Wright. They were canoemen. They built canoes. Uncle Wally was in the vanguard of the first catamarans that were built and put on the beach of Waikiki. He sailed those canoes to the west coast, down to the South Pacific, and around the islands. And through all of that, he was just always a real humble guy that did not like recognition or any of that stuff. He was just happy to be there, but he was more than willing to stand up for what he felt was right and scold people. He was our mentor, good friend. And when you look at, every time I look at Hokule'a and I look at the way she's built and she's put together, I see Uncle Wally's influence. Because Hokule'a is a voyaging canoe, and it represents so much across the Pacific. But the way she's put together, the 7 miles of lashing and how she's held together and everything is just simply ingenious. If you think about Hokule'a, that was seemingly built for 5,000 miles to sail to Tahiti in 1976 and come back, a 5,000-mile journey. But she sailed 275 miles.
That was Pole Master Navigator Bruce Blankenfeld. He's been on many Hokule'a voyages, and he was just honoring Herb Kawainuekane, Tommy Holmes, and Ben Finney.
And once again, he is also the captain on this cruise that brought them from the Ke'ehi Harbor over towards Kaneohe Bay, where Hokule'a is at this moment.
It was a beautiful day for a very quick voyage from Kaneohe to here at Hakipu'u, and crew members certainly glad to be back on land.
Hey, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more from the windward side of Oahu. You're watching Hawaii News Now. Hokule'a right now sits in Kaneohe Bay, but before it was here in Kaneohe Bay, it was over at Ke'ehi Harbor getting ready for the short jump here. And on board, they had about 6-7 different nationalities that were not people that were Hawaiian. They were from other places like Japan and other places that are in the South Pacific. So they're joining together to make that journey here. And so they had a fun time overnight and into this morning.
It's a joining of cultures, and you know, Billy, you've been talking about these memories of Hōkūleʻa. You may recall, just in 2023, Hōkūleʻa was on the Pacific-wide voyage, Moana Nui a Kea, but then Lahaina happened, and there was a need to come back, to be home again. And what an incredible sail to Lahaina, to be back with many ohana who had been grieving, but it was incredible to see Hōkūleʻa sailing in front of Lahaina, and to see the whales jumping, and to hear the blowing of the pū, and then to see the 76ers, including Uncle Buff Keaulana, come on board to be reunited with the crew. It was a very special moment.
And it was also a statement as well. Hōkūleʻa wanting to let Lahaina know that we are here to support you. We are here to help. We are here to uplift you. And here today, Hōkūleʻa is uplifting everyone.
That's right. Let's go to our Dylan and Cheta with more from the ground. Dylan?
Hey, aloha, thank you so much. I am joined by the one and only Miss Star Kalahiki, a beloved entertainer here in Hawaii. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm swell. Thank you so much. And to be here is such a enlightening energy. Everyone's just so relaxed. How would you describe it?
That's a perfect word. I showed up an hour before everyone else. I came at 7 o'clock to experience exactly that. The light was reflecting off of the mountain here. Enlightening is a perfect word. From the mountains to the kai, it was just a really beautiful, poetic expression. And then I got to watch the people come through, and then I got to hear the pū, and I just kind of have a perfect spot over here to engage in the, they're doing the Ava right now.
Yeah, it is so beautiful. For those who were here or watching earlier this morning, the sun was just absolutely beautiful. It was so calming to see in the waters and the pū blowing. It was absolutely beautiful. I want to ask you, Hōkūleʻa, 50 years has evolved. You know, we've been speaking to people who were there at the launch 50 years ago, and they said it was very simple, you know, and now it has evolved to embracing modern technology while still staying true to Hawaiian culture. How would you explain the importance of evolving yet still staying true to the culture?
Wow, that's an amazing question. Because I'm actually born in 1976, so like the whole, what they call, I guess, the Renaissance of Hawaii and our culture is like my entire existence, right? So it's really fascinating to be alive in this time and space, to know I wasn't necessarily here in 1976. Although as a kalahiki, this is very much my area. We actually used to have our family reunion camps right here.
Oh.
Yeah, before it was even a park. As a musician, it's amazing because I require technology in order to do what I do. But then at the core of it, the vibration and the Renaissance is as ancient and as old as what every human being has the capacity of.
Yeah,
so to answer your question, I'm going to answer it in sound, in resonance, and in the containers that we are, right, as humans. Like, so, I mean, we have all of this technology to come and emphasize what the intention out of our hearts and out of our voices are, that amplifies our intention and our voices.
Beautiful. I want to ask you one more question before we let you go. What's your real quick message to the crew of Hōkūleʻa?
Oh my God. Mahalo ke akua for making you and creating you and all of the ike that you have brought to the generations and the lahui.
Yeah,
Mahalo.
beautiful. Mahalo nui. And Star, thank you for sharing your mana'o here. So that is what today is all about, honoring the crew, honoring the Hōkūleʻa, and just the rich legacy, the connection to culture. Guys, we'll send things back to you.
Thank you very much, Dylan. We are here in Hakipu'u over on the windward side of Oahu, and of course the celebration is continuing on. Right now it's happening around the stage area. Let's go ahead and give you a view so you can see for yourself. Ava Noa is happening right now, and this is the Ava Ceremony. There are such things as the blowing of the conch. There's the chant to open the kanoa, the sharing. There is hula. There's going to be more chants, and it's protocol that's happening right now as well.
And what's amazing about all of these protocols that they have been perpetuated year after year after year. And back in 1975, some of them hadn't been performed for hundreds of years. So Hokule'a, as we've seen, has given an opportunity for people to reconnect with their culture. It's something that I saw in Alaska when Hokule'a arrived at Yakutat, Alaska. The people there did their own chants and protocols, but those chants and protocols hadn't been done in 100 years. So it is really amazing to see Hōkūleʻa and her crew showing unity and bringing cultures back together.
In the chairs they have leaders and elders that have been escorted into place, and it is starting right now.
Hey, we
ia ka awa e ke aku e awa lani wale no e ai a ka kamaiki e inu i ka awa laulani awa kani kanua kuai i ka hiki a ulua laua o no i ka hiki a ka ia a ela a hoka mai lai ke kanoa ku i ke kahe i ka pu o a ka elani kaina ola ia kini aku ia i kale mo i kale o nā moku e ia ka awalae ia kane hoa lani huli mai la kōkalani ia kane luho nua luho i mai la ka honua ia kane huli ko a huli nā ko a aina nā ko a kai ia kane ka wai o la huli mai la ho i ka kai a me ka wai ia lono makua pauku hoi na au makua ko o mako o lo le ke alalo ua no ka wala
Kaiola o Kanaloa, o kako wa a kaulua o Hōkūleʻa. Kako wa a karana, kako wa a Hōkūleʻa. Iola mau.
Alani aina o nune, na whai aina o tai. Nau o mauri he motu he aina, na kamau kamalala waru e no. Nā kurua i e au haune a he tāne, na hita nui ala nā he wahi. O a moroka i ke akua he kahuru, nā he huare nā no nune. Mai te ali I kalani ka haluku mai ea o tahi. Lo ala nei he keiki ho'okama. A ke au kana I moe a wali nuho ani he ke a ka huouri nei. Nau tahola vehelo pāki nā kuri. Moku ka piko ke kamaiki ka iewe o ke keiki lele I fomo I loko ka apena. Ka ape kai ale loa aku malo ke kamau. O moro kini ta mo ke iewe ka mo. Umai ahu kini ala he ali mai ka nānamu. Mai ka api o kai a mai ka ale mohi. O hale ka lai, o ao ahu he mohi nā ahu kini ala. Nā la a kapu he kāne ia, nā la a mea ala ako nā he wahi. O kaua ho I roli ka nuo ki ali, ta hei au kapua no nei. I ka mokua kāne kanalo I ta I he lau meki I bora bora. Nāna I mahiki wana lia o wana lia ke kāne o hanala a ta wai. Nāna o ni hau he aina I te aina mole o ta aina. Uria I ka mokua kāne kanalo I ka uila I ka pōka o makali. Ana o kaua I he ali I he kama he puali. E
E hui a lia hawaii na ke kōkela ke lau nā mo. I pāhola i e kalani holo whare nā mo kui holani. I ka wewehi ka pū kalana ki rei. Hui a i ka moko a kāne kanalo i ta i he lau mehi i pola pola. Tāna i mahi ki wana lia ke kāne o hanala a ka mahi. Nā uni hau he aina, he motu he aina, I ke ai ko mole o ta ai. E komi la kou ke hi hana i ta rākahi. O ni hau, hau la o ni hoa pau mai. Waka matua I ne o ili moku ole mai mā mo. Hau ai te hea.
You were listening to Kumuhula Manu Boy during the Ava Akua. Ava was offered at 4 locations, and we saw one of the practitioners walking toward us, and they were spread out. We'll be right back with Hōkūleʻa's 50th birthday commemoration when we return.
Celebrating 50 years, the 50th birthday commemoration of Hōkūleʻa.
This is the Pule Ava, a group chant as the Ava is being poured for the group of elder. Let's listen in.
Na alaka'i o Hōkūleʻa. Mahalo ia o kou kauhana nui ke ia pa'a, apahana wa'a. O kohana nui, makanalima makahiki a oi, e ho'ola ai kia loina o iwi. Ke makaukau e olelo pū ana kākou, ka olelo ho'olo kahi. Ai olelo pū kākou a pau, e kolu manawa. Makaukau? E ola mau o Hōkūleʻa! E ola mau o Hōkūleʻa! E ola mau o Hokule'a! E nā alaka'i e inu I ka Ava Ceremony. E inu.
Hallelujah to Rayana Kualoa for officiating the Ava, Noa, Ono. As we collect the apu, we're going to begin escorting our elders and our leaders back to their noho.
You just heard the blowing of the pū, the blowing of the conch, and then you saw the hi'olani o tamaile, the hula to affirm the significance of Ava sharing a ceremonial drink. And Billy, we were just saying that as you drink Ava, you feel a little relaxed and your tongue might be a little numb.
Relax would be a good descriptive word for that. We'll be back with more right here on Hawaii News Now.
Aloha and welcome back to Hōkūleʻa 50th birthday celebration here live at Hakipu'u Kualoa. It's been a beautiful morning, Billy, and so many people here to welcome her to shore.
You know, and there are so many memories and so many things to talk about, places that Hōkūleʻa has gone, the people that Hōkūleʻa has touched, and the ability for Hōkūleʻa to actually bring together cultures and move them forward, whether it be language or cultural practices. So Hōkūleʻa has really expanded the thought of just from a simple voyage, we go to another island maybe, to something that's literally gone around the world and even up into the heavens.
And back in 1975, it was supposed to be maybe a simple voyage just around Kaneohe Bay. And then in 1976, that very first maiden voyage where the crew members, those very early crew members, sailed from Hawaii to Tahiti, it was supposed to be one and done. Just 5,000 miles. It took about 30 days to get to Tahiti, but ended up being 275,000 miles over 50 years. And Billy, every person that we have talked to said they had no idea that Hōkūleʻa would become this movement, this idea that would be global and unite so many cultures across the globe.
But as you talk to the 76ers and you talk to members of the crew that have been engaged with Hōkūleʻa for years, you see the glisten in the eye and the powerfulness of the voice and the conviction of the past and present come together as they will tell you stories that have been the delight of their lives.
And for modern day, you talk to some of the canoe paddlers. We just saw some of them just launch their canoe behind us. And some of them had said, we have never been to this festival, this Hakipu'u festival for Hōkūleʻa. So this is something that's magical for them, their very first time. And so this is something that will be perpetuated for generations.
We've been bringing you all of the action that's been happening at the stage since 9 o'clock this morning when the protocol started. And coming up in a couple of moments, a Nahoku Hanahana Award winner will be gracing the stage to entertain the crowds that are here in celebration of Hōkūleʻa. Just a couple of reminders for you. Hōkūleʻa will actually leave here. When they do, the timing hasn't been confirmed yet, but they will also be over at the area. They got to wait for low tide. They got to go underneath the bridge by the Alawai, and they will be at the Hawaii Convention Center where people can go ahead and go on board and ask questions just like they do in every port they call.
That's right. At about 3 o'clock, they're having those canoe tours, and then there's a gala at the convention center. And look at this B-roll. Look at this video, Billy. It is so amazing. Every time I watch it, I get chicken skin because back then they called all people to the shoreline to help pull Hōkūleʻa into the water where she touched the water for the very first time. And back then, they didn't know if she would make it, but of course she did. And look at what she has accomplished today.
You know, it was navigation, celestial navigation. It's the Star of Gladness, that star that Paula Funga sings about. And she's on stage right now. Let's go listen.
While we sail away on time, blow my condition, jubilation, carry us down to our destination. Oh, wiki wiki, ake alaika hiki. Billions of stars up in the sky, looking up beyond me, 'cause I you're the star of gladness. Oh, Hōkūleʻa, star of gladness. Stand beside me and be my friend. Make me smile and laugh again. Yes, Hōkūleʻa, you're the star of gladness. Your whole life to the sea. will show us the way. Oh, Hokule'a, star of gladness. Oh, Hokule'a, there we go, star of
Everybody, let's shout some jubilation. Jubilation! Oh, mahalo anui. You know, our papahana, hokmanao, pila makariki kanaliwa no Hōkūleʻa, is coming to a close, but it would not be a Hōkūleʻa celebration without the presence of the president of the Polynesian Voyaging Society, Mr. Nainoa Thompson. So here he is in the front. He had some Ava. He's all, he's going to come up and share with you another wonderful mea ha'i mo'olelo, sharing stories about and much often about his parents, especially his dad, the late Myron Pinky Thompson, his grandparents and how they influenced him. But why don't we all stand and give an applause for Nainoa Thompson as he approaches the stage, celebrating 50 years Eora Mau o Hōkūleʻa.
Thank you. Mahalo. Please sit down. Yeah. Can you hear me back there? No. As I tried to prepare to speak today, the more I thought, the more I remembered. And I'm just going to apologize now that I'm going to fumble 50 years of your life, and the fact that the gravity of Hokule'a brings people together around the world. Everybody around the world has stories, and that Hokule'a's stories, there's infinite stories. And I'm just one person. And honored, knowing that I get in this place where I start to doubt and I start to fear. And so my great navigator is my father. So he may not be standing next to me, but he's inside me, really close to my heart. So on behalf of him, permit me to tell you what little I know about the beginning, about 50 years ago. But before I go there, Mayor Blanchard, thank you for being here. Rick is Kuaina. He stands firm on this land, and he'll fight for anything that's right. I know. I knew that before he was the mayor. And it's just an honor to call him my friend. Kalena Silva, thank you for the explanation, because I was here around 20 years old when the canoes launched. And given the fact that 13 years of my education, there was not a single day that a single teacher would talk about a canoe. We talk about your ancestors. We talk about Kaikinui, land of the golden haze. Not a single teacher. Because when we outlawed in 1926, we assumed that Hawaiian stuff doesn't matter. It's not good. It's a waste of time to put in schools. Well, I'll tell you, if you want to look at testimony to change, please, please, the ones you should stand up for are those children that were here today, speaking our language. And I want to thank the chiefs, the navigators, the children of Piailug that came so far to be with us. They bring with them 4,000 years of schooling called Woriang. They bring with them the classroom that we would be training from, because Api and others trained Mao. When you look at Mao, I ask the question, is he the one that trained us, or was it his teachers? And I think that statement is to make sure that we recognize how important our teachers are to the future of Hawaii, and how we must support them better than we are doing now. I want to thank Kimo Hugo, always hiding in the back, not wanting attention, not wanting credit. But on this man's shoulders, he carried, as crew chief, all the training for the 1976 voyage. He carried on his shoulders the key vital importance was picking the right crew. He carried on his shoulders, as crew chief, the training. See the photos in Alenuihaha on a bad day, and you'll see photos of courage. Kimo, mahalo. I want to thank the 76 crew. What's left of us? Penny, Buff. When you find a quiet moment today, send your love and aloha to Billy Richards. He's not feeling well. He's not feeling well. Because your love and your aloha and your humility matters. It's at the heart of this canoe. Tava, mahalo. Kimo, Snake, thank you. Dr. Ben Young, and one of my very, very dear friends, John Cruz. First voyage. And the first voyage that went to Tahiti, 1976, it took training, yes. It took courage, especially against everybody that was saying it couldn't be done, and you're crazy. And recognizing that this hasn't been done in 600 years, but you were willing to go anyway. Not knowing if you're properly trained, you're going to be in the world's two biggest wind systems and collide on the equator and make the cloudiest and rainiest place on the earth. But you went. If you want to think about how complex that is, go stand on Waikiki Beach, look south, draw an imaginary line to the eastern side of Tahiti, and an imaginary line to the western side. That angle is less than half a degree. And then go find it with the stars. Maupiailuk led the way with 2 acts of enormous kindness. Was to come, and in hindsight, my opinion, there's no way we could have done it without him. Ignorance was very deep when we launched this canoe. We didn't know how much we didn't know. But he did. And he came in anyway. He agreed to go and sail a canoe 8 times bigger than his. He agreed to go and sail a distance 6 times longer than he's ever done. He agreed to go south of the equator and lose the powerful stars of Hokule'a and the northern stars. And sailed with a canoe that agreed to do this sail before Hokule'a was even launched. And agreed to go before Kimo picked the crew. This canoe demanded courage. The 76 Voyagers are exemplary. They're extraordinary, and thank you. I do want to thank the people of Satawa who would be willing for the first time in 4,000 years, navigation is power. When navigation is used the wrong way, people get hurt. It was held fiercely within their culture, their traditions, not even shared across islands, and sometimes not even shared across families on the same island. Because the duty of protecting the navigation and making sure that it's used for the right reasons was crucial. But they broke the rules. They had a ceremony in 2007 and one in 2008. It's called Po. And Po is the graduation of the deep sea navigator. It is a ceremony about the relationship between the teacher and the student. And it's the whole island that participates. I want to have the Po navigators that are children of Mao, children of the people of Satawa, and children of that school, Wodiang. They are family. And thanking the chiefs to open up that ability for us to come together, even though we're 3,500 miles apart. Please, Po navigators, please stand. Sorry, thank you. Cesario, please stand. Thank you, thank you. God, I don't know where to start. Yeah. Sometimes I think we look at the launch as the genesis of Hōkūleʻa, the beginning. I'm going to kind of argue that's not the beginning. The beginning was 2,000 years ago, when the spaceship of our ancestors came to these shores and put the first human footprint in the sand. Coming from a country 10 million square miles, humbly excluding the landmass in New Zealand, would be 600 times more water than it is land. The biggest country on the planet. And the question is, how did they do it? 2,000 years ago, we forgot because of the forces of other cultures coming here in the last 250 years. That would change everything. We might have forgot the name of the canoe, we might have forgot the name of the captain and the navigator, but we didn't forget something that's deep within the Hawaiian heart, that it's its love for its ancestors, its love for its home. I'm going to continue to use that word, love, because we could not have done what we've done without it. And I do want to talk about the challenges we took, because we were challenged. Contemplate sailing around the world on a canoe 3 feet off the water, 39,000 miles. 900 days on land, 500 on the sea. When we voted to do that on April 1st, 2008, I needed to know one thing. Was Bruce Blankenfeld ready to go? Because if he voted no, we're not leaving. I get so much attention, but it's not me. It's thousands and thousands of people that make this so difficult for me. But also, I think Genesis goes back to the vision and the courage of our founders. And I would argue that the genesis for the actual Hokule'a being launched 50 years ago started 90 years ago. And it started because of father teaching his son in the Vahipana, the sacred place of Waipio, on the island of Hawaii. The father took a boy 7 years old, his name was Herb, Kane. He told her about his homeland, Kaikinui. He told her that that place, Kaikinui, is a land of the golden haze. He told her that there were canoes, and there were navigators, and there were captains, there were crew that were the best in the world. He told her and showed her the map of the sky, stories in the stars. Herb's father is Genesis. Herb's father planted the seed in the heart of our visionary, our leader, who can't stand here today, but I love him and I honor him. The other visionary started, 75 years ago in Santa Barbara, because he enrolled in the School of Anthropology. And he studied the science. And then he looked at what science was saying. And he said it was wrong. But in 1958, his postdoctorate was at the University of Hawaii, a name that should be here today is a woman professor by the name of Catherine Luomala. You can count them on one hand back then. The equity issue was shocking. Catherine Luomala confronted Dr. Ben Finney, handed him 2 books, He said, read them, they're wrong, and change it. At that point, the vital need of justice came onto this canoe. 1958. The two books, one was Kontiki, that came from the Americas, because the belief that with the science and the mathematics and statistics, there's no way that Polynesians could have sailed from the west to the east against the prevailing trade winds, against all the science and all our traditions, all our culture, all our history, and our language. So they built a raft, they went 107 days, crashed on an island called Raruia, made a movie, wrote a book, and told the world of the story, the mo'olelo of Polynesians, which was wrong. Another book was written by a world-famous anthropologist from Aotearoa. And he said, no, they had canoes, they could sail around, but they didn't have the intelligence. We're gonna make the statement that they couldn't be that good. So because maybe they're the wrong color of the skin. Ben Finney took the books, he read them, and a decade later, Kenneth Emery from the Bishop Museum would make Herb, who was in Chicago, and Ben talk to each other on a telephone. One phone call. This wasn't big institutions, this wasn't government, this wasn't big business, it was two people coming together because the gravity is starting to be created by this canoe. That's 1968. Then they incorporate. And forgive me, but I'll talk about my story, not because my story is important, but it's the story of what I remember, and I do it with the utmost humility. My story was I paddled for Huinala Canoe Club, one of the few things you could do in society that make you Hawaiian. And I love the ocean. I did not love school. Where we paddled up by Kupaua, there's the small canal, maybe 60 feet wide, and we launched our training canoes there. But across the canal were these old wooden houses. And one of them was a house for the dreamer. Hokule'a comes from the dreams, land of the golden haze. It was Herb Kawainui Kane. This is before Hokule'a was built. This is early spring 1974. The canoe wasn't built. Nobody knew about it. It was the genius of Herb and Ben and Tommy Holmes who was there to keep it quiet because people are not going to understand this canoe because it's Hawaiian. And it doesn't matter. But he was recruiting, along with Kimo, the best in Hawaii. Buffalo Keolana, top of the list. Another one top of the list was a man by the name that few people know, but I'll argue he is one of Hawaii's greatest watermen, Hōkūle'a. He was the head coach at Huinalo. I was a banana first year novice B, crashing into everything because I was a steersman. And Herb had these two 22-foot surfing canoes lashed together with, Kimo, I don't know if you remember this, but with 4x4 posts, and then a whole week at sail he borrowed from his friend. And he needed to get paddlers to get him outside the reef so he wouldn't crash into the reef. So I was a novice B paddler. I had time, and when he came over to ask for paddlers, I went with him every day. And I don't know what I was doing. I didn't know about his dream. I was just doing what he told me. And But it was early spring, 1974, where my life would change. Because someone built a road that's much better than was paid for me in the largest society. Herb and Kimo and Tommy were recruiting the best, the buffaloes and the Kala'as. And he invited Kala'a to his house, in the old wooden house, and he invited me too. I guess he felt, wow, that skinny black Hawaiian, maybe we just kind of feed him for once, and then just to thank him. But when I walked into that wooden house, it was 19 oil paintings hanging on the wall of voyaging canoes. They were beautiful, but had no connections. Didn't mean anything to me other than they were beautiful and they're on the ocean. There are nautical charts strewn around his house and about Tahiti or Cook Islands or New Zealand, Samoa. No connection. No idea. I didn't have any idea to my family. At dinner, Herb would kind of quietly unfold the dream of going down the road of Keala Ikahiki, pulling Tahiti out of the sea. And his hope was this would bring pride and dignity back to our ancestors and our elders so that we can give it to our children. When my life changed, and I will say this, the power of the mentor, the inspiration about the mentor. One moment in time, he took us outside in the yard and he made us take our imaginations and our eyesight up to the cosmos. 7,000 dots of light that had no pattern, they were just chaos. And then he took our eyes to the north, to Nahiku, to the Big Dipper, and traced stories and traced lines. He drew lines into the heavens that connected to the North Star on the western side of Nahiku, and on the tail of Nahiku, it connected to Hōkūleʻa, our tourists. If you go south, it connected to Spica and to what we call Me'e, Corvus, that sits right on top of the Southern Cross. And in that line, everything became so intensely important to me about the dream. And the dream was full of risk, it was full of challenge, and it was really going to test us between fear and courage. But I had no belief that I was going to be on that crew, because I'm a banana novice lead paddler, and he's really talking to Kala'a. But it'd be shortly after that that Kala'a in his red truck would pick me up in the house and say, "Get in the truck, I'm going to take you someplace." It was Pier 37 in Honolulu Harbor. Remember, John? And it was the storage room for pineapple from Lanai. And he and I, it was a bright sunny day. We walked into the door. It was no lighting. So it was very dark. And while my eyes started to adjust, you started to see on this oil and diesel soaked cement over the years and years of trucks going through there, pieces of wood, frames, bulkheads, stuff that I didn't know. In that room had the architects, the marine architects, the designers. And in the room you had the founders. All three of them were there. On the ground were these pieces of what would become that canoe. And we sanded the wood, we painted it, we stapled those hulls together, John, with non-galvanized and non-stainless steel staples. And when we painted the hulls, they were already rusting. Someone mentioned it today that Hokule'a was only envision, as powerful it was, one voyage. The one that changed that was Abraham Snake Aki. When he said, I came home, but I came home to the same thing. I need to be in the wake of my ancestors, he told me. We need to sail, because I want to be Hawaiian again. That deep sense of that canoe, that man that's sitting there, would inspire us to continue to sail. I was here, over there. When the first truck came in with the 2 hulls of Hōkūleʻa with a crane, big crane, lifted them up, put them on saddles. Remember, Kimo? Another truck came in with the yakos that weighed 250 pounds each to hold these hulls together. And then another truck came in with rolls and rolls of 600-foot rolls of line. And then we're canoe paddlers, so we should know how to lash. Well, our canoes weigh 400 pounds when we paddle. This canoe is designed for 25,000 pounds. And I'm going to speak for myself, so I don't offend anybody else. But I did not know what I was doing. Lashing the canoe, we didn't know what to do. We were just going around, 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 and leadership, and we had the 2 ends of the rope, and we'd just say, what do we do it? And I remember Wally just telling me, when in doubt, just make 50 half hitches. Well, I was in doubt a lot, and so I was here, and thank you, Kalena, for the mo'olelo, so I understand what actually happened, and be more grateful and aloha to Mary Kavena Pukui and Kaupena Wong, who made sure that those chants and those protocols and those ceremonies were dignified, deep within our culture. They did their job to honor this canoe, but I didn't know. Sam Ka'ai did the Ava ceremony. It's the first time in my life I drank Ava. I didn't like it because it tasted different, but I didn't know what it was. Sam, thank you for the beginning, at least in my life, to move forward. And then this canoe, be careful about the power of disbelief. It'll ruin dreams. It'll take away hope. It'll put you into doubt and eventually maybe fear. I did not believe this canoe could go in the water. You can't push a 25,000-pound canoe and slide it on coconut fronds and wooden rollers. It's not going to work. But I was on the last yako on the port side, and so in disbelief, I pushed as hard as I could. And I remember that the canoe flew into the water. It went so fast that I couldn't keep up with it when it was going downhill. And then when it got in the water, it slid far into the water, and we had to go try to jump on the yako and slow it down. And then we paddled that day. Kalena, thank you for the story. But it was the next day, Kimo, when we sailed her on a Sunday, March 9th. And I'm speaking for myself. We broke stuff. We didn't know what sheet lines. I didn't know what a sheet line was. There were no cleats on board. We crashed on the sandbar. Captain and everybody get off the canoe floated up, so it's sailing on its own. We never put the sails down. And fishing boat had to turn us around and aim us to Kualoa Hakipu. And true story, I can say it because my wife, Kathy, interviewed her right before he died. And he spoke about that day when we were coming in here, full sail. I'm looking for an anchor. But I'm nobody, I'm young, I don't know anything, but full sail. All I was thinking, how are we going to stop? And then there was an island in front of you, and it was full of sand where we launched. And Herb, the captain, ran forward on the bow, and to try to do something. And he says this on the tape. My wife Kathy, so I can say this is public. The canoe hits the sand. Herb is running forward, launches him off the bow, and I just see his body go away. And I run up there, and he's lying on the ground. And I was like, oh my God, maybe he died or something. And then he got. And Kimo, you know this. He was rubbing the sand out of his eyes. And when he could see, there's this beautiful woman in this sheer dress. It was like kind of somewhat see-through. And the light was behind her. And Herb talks in that video going, God, there's an angel that came to me. I must be dead. And it wasn't. It was Abigail Koananakoa. No. Who told Herb, I want to see you in my office tomorrow. And she would write a personal check, the largest donation in funding to Herb's dream, to the dream. And as much as we didn't know that day, it didn't matter to her. The dream is more important. And that funding became the basis for which we could do this 1976 voyage, because somebody believed. Hōkūle'a challenges us all the time, whether you're going to choose the road of doubt and failure, or you're going to choose courage and go for the right reasons. And so I want to thank Myra Akau, she's here. Sister Betty, she's in the car. Please, round of applause for them. And then we sailed, Mao navigated. A crew of 14 found the land of the Golden Haze, pulled it out of the sea. I was there, I flew down to Tahiti. I'm small, Tahitians are big. I had to climb the monkey pod tree to see it, because there were 17,000 Tahitians there. And without going into much more time, that day, everything changed in my life. That day, given just the extraordinary things you can't believe that Piato could find the island. It's where, once we're convinced that the book's written for a populating of Polynesia, those who say you can't do it, it can't be done, and therefore we start to come up with reasons why it can't be done, because we couldn't sail to Wimbledon or we're too stupid. Once we start to not have an answer that can be defined by science and mathematics, then we go, it can't be real. There's a different definition. Wrong. Wrong. She challenged us. She put us on our knees. I want to thank that Kimo, Penny, Snake, Ben, those that are here, because I know I was on my knees. Because there are storms out there on the ocean. They're big, but they're beautiful. They're a part of nature, the system of nature that provides this kind of weather. Try to go to a planet without an atmosphere, kind of rough. Provides us food, it circulates temperatures, it's everything. Everything is in the ocean. The greatest environmental, economic, and social challenge of the 21st century is protecting the oceans. Because we won't protect the future of our children. Being out there was hard. These storms, Mao made it easy. When the storm comes, he says, put on your jacket, stand up, face the wind. You stay there the whole time, Nainoa, until the storm goes by. Then he said, don't ever let your crew know that you're scared. This was right before 1980 when I was going to go down to Tahiti, and I was failing the last part of the training, and that was faith. Faith in the canoe, it knows it better than you. Faith in the road your ancestors carved. Faith in nature showing you the way. Faith in your teachers. He said, the storms on the oceans are not your storm. The storm that you have is inside of you. It's when you will turn to not believing, turn to doubt, turn to fear, ultimately to despair. Storms inside of you. And it took me years and years, not that I'm courageous, I'm not, but inside of my head, there's a door. And behind that door is all my fears, all my things I can't do. And I could survive in this society as long as I kept the door closed. Well, Hokule'a changed that. The door is wide open. And there was something else, something more powerful that I didn't understand. If it wasn't measured by science and mathematics, it wasn't real. Wrong. How do you measure love? How do you define love? I can't bring my father here, stand up and measure him. Even though he's not standing here, he's in my heart. And so we through the years, stumbled. This canoe that would challenge us, but it would carry us to places we could never imagine, meeting people we could never imagine. And this audience is testimony to that. One of the great navigators on the earth is here. I saw her. She's my mentor, Dr. Sylvia Earle, the greatest marine biologist on the planet. Who fights for us to protect the oceans so we can protect who we are as oceans people. But the last thing I'll say about Hokule'a, that, and I still don't understand it because there's too much doubt. We sailed to Rapa Nui, have a meeting. The night before we find the island, and I'm saying, we need to start looking already. There's a box that we created on a map of about 1 million square miles of ocean that we're going to tack in there because you're trying to find the smallest single so-called oceans, isolated, I don't believe it, but landmass on the planet. And no reason, no need to go there, except our ancestors went there 1,600 years ago. How did they do it? And you can pass it on a rainy night in 2 hours. Never see it. And next arrival is Chile. Rough trip. I estimated where we were because of doubt. I underestimated 200-something miles off. We find the island the next morning, and I was kind of really mad at myself. So I hid underneath the sails on the deck. We changed sails all night. We sailed hard in the rain. Max Yarma, my pole navigator, saw the island first because of the Micronesian eyes. He's a really good friend. I love him, but he's irritating out there when he keeps seeing everything first. And but the point was, snake. Snake. I was hiding under the sail so I could be private as we headed to Rapa Nui that day. Mike Tong, the lawyer, best friend, love him, was talking to Snake. Oh, Nainoa, he's way off, huh? Like 200 miles, he's way off. And then he goes, hey, Snake, must be luck, yeah? We found the island. And then I heard Snake say, this is not luck. Snake said, I've sailed this canoe so much, and we always assumed that we're navigating this canoe. We always assumed that we're going to take it to our destination. And he said, not this voyage. Hokule'a needed us to take her to Rapa Nui. And then Snake said the most beautiful thing, this is not luck, it's mana. And over the years, it's the things you can't explain, the things you can't fully measure. Can you see time? Can you see gravity? But what Snake was helping me understand, which I think is what Hokule'a gave us the most. In the end, it was faith. In the end, it was trusting one thing. Trust the power of love. Bruce Blankenfeld, Wally Freudseth, Jimmy Shishiro, Leon Sterling, 4 people who are teaching Kelly Takanaga to take care of the canoe. But they're teaching us why we should love that canoe. Snake made it clear to me that ultimately the things that we can do but that we can't explain, the things that we do that can't be measured, the things that we would do, and if we had to, we wouldn't go. Because it would be impossible voyages. Snake was the one that made it clear to me that I want to share with you tonight. Hokule'a taught us about the power of love. Across the Pacific to Aotearoa, to the Cook Islands, to Satawa, land of the Golden Haze, the thousands of people around the world. And we can do anything, if we don't lose faith in what Snake was saying. And for me, it helped me to grow up. Helped me understand when I was on my knees out there, Snake come, he reached out his hand to pick me up when I'm failing. And me and him are good friends from the very beginning. And it's an honor and a privilege to know him, to help us figure out how good our ancestors were, how they did it. Because they were looking at a dimension we can't see because we're blinded. But by what we were taught. Except Snake could, with faith. Love you, brother.
It really is so good to see so many keiki in the audience, and to hear these words by legends and leaders like those who have spoken today. The songs that were shared, the chants that were danced, the beautiful ceremonial arrival of the crew members. We're going to kind of bring the Papahana Ho'omana. Aue Uahitie. Ika hoi, ike ka. Aue
Hōkūleʻa ha'a. It is a rousing ha'a that every time is performed with every ceremony by all of the crew members of Hōkūleʻa.
You've been watching the 50th commemoration, the celebration for Hokule'a, live here from Hakipu'u. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and then we will talk a little bit more about today's festivities here on the windward side. You're watching Hawaii News Now. We're here on the windward side of Oahu. The celebration of the 50 years of Hokule'a continues, just like the sailings and the cruise and everything does. The planning. That's the next thing, right?
Absolutely. The planning for the next 50 years and beyond. But here today, live at Hakipu'u, we just heard a rousing cheer of the crowd as the official ceremony was finished. But behind us is Hokule'a that sailed in from Mokapu. That's at the Kaneohe Marine Corps Base. She started at 8 this morning, and it was a very smooth sail to just come offshore dock, and then the crew members were brought in via canoe. All of the canoe ohana, or canoe community, is here to celebrate Hokule'a and her wondrous journeys over the last 50 years.
Whenever anything like this happens, it is truly a reunion. It's not only the 76ers, which are revered, which Manu Boy, the MC here today, called the 76ers. What did he say?
He said they were the stallions of the sea, and they are heroes. They are legends, including Uncle Buffalo Keaulana, Uncle John Cruz, Billy Richards, Penny Martin. Those early navigators did something that hadn't been done in hundreds of years. And what's amazing to think that back in 1975 on March 8th, they had to sell posters for $1 to try to raise money for Hokule'a. And back then, nobody could really understand it. It was a preposterous idea to think of long-distance voyaging from island to island around the Pacific.
Let's take you a look at some of what's happening at the stage area while we continue this conversation here. You know, whenever you have a gathering like this, Papa Mao's name is reverberated over and over because that has been the core of the knowledge that's been passed on to allow this to happen.
Papa Mau from Sotawall, and he was instrumental in teaching Native Hawaiians about Polynesian navigation. At one point, people feared it might have been lost, but he was so instrumental in helping bring this back in the 1970s. That also was the resurgence of Olelo Hawaii, our native language and culture, and people just knowing who they are and having appreciation for our aina, our land.
And especially where they come from. So we come to this place because this is where the canoe first touched the sea in 1975, and so we are here to celebrate today. Your thoughts as we go through this process of not only, appreciating those who have come before, but also acknowledging those who are on the canoe now and those who are going to be taught to sail the canoe in the future.
That's right. We just heard from Nainoa Thompson, the president of the Polynesian Voyaging Society, and he will often say, Hōkūleʻa was just an idea. It was supposed to be just one quick voyage, right? For 30 days, maybe 5,000 miles, but really it was 275,000 miles around the globe. And I think one person who isn't given enough acknowledgement is Nainoa Thompson himself. He is so humble. He is always acknowledging others. But it must be said that Nainoa Thompson has been a true leader in gathering all these people around the world, including astronauts from space.
He took that knowledge from Papa Mau that was given from Papa Mau to him, and he has taught and found other navigators to continue to teach this perspective. And it's more than just going through and navigating celestially. It is a community. It is a way of life. You call it, what is it, Va'a?
Va'a life. And in Va'a life, sometimes you go this way, sometimes you go that way. Just like the weather, Billy, it could change at a moment's notice, but you always know you're going somewhere and it is all together.
So as we celebrate today, let's tell you that the vessel itself, Hōkūleʻa, will go from here and it will head towards the town side to the Hawaii Convention Center.
That's right. There is a gala tomorrow at the Hawaii Convention Center, dockside canoe tours that start at 3 o'clock. And here at Hakipu'u Kualoa, the canoe festival goes until 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, and then, of course, they continue with all kinds of events. If you want more information, go to their website. Now, here on Hawaii News Now, coming up tonight, very special.
That's right. Well, back in 1975, the documentarian Tip Davis, as we've been seeing this amazing footage from 1975 of that very first launch, he documented that and all of the ceremony and protocol that was seen for the very first time. So we are going to be showing that documentary within our documentary called A Canoe is Born, Hōkūleʻa. We'll and see the significance of those chants and also follow the voyage along Moana Nui a Kea throughout the Pacific.
As we've been showing our appreciation for the crew and the people who put these voyages together, what they've done in the past, present, and future, we appreciate you for watching this program and also for celebrating the culture, not only of voyaging, but also our Hawaiian culture. It's all interconnected.
On behalf of Billy V and myself, Mahialani Richardson, thank you so much for joining us, and see you on Hawaii News Now.
Ola no kaukara, kaukara I kaina. Noi I Ahialoa Yama apelele ualele mama Amanuo ka amanuo Na akakao Hakawika malama akai
Hi, Mom. Hi, baby.
Pohaku Nui, great stone monument brought from the foot of Kaneohe.